Hi guys, what's up? My name's Patricia and I'm an AI automation developer. Today I want to show you how you can automate all of your invoices. So all you have to do at the end of the month is double check all of the information before sending them out to your client. Let's see how you can use make.com to do this. Okay, so coming into make.com, I have created a new scenario which I called invoice generator. And I just want to show you guys what my Google Sheets is currently looking like. So here is where I keep track of all of the services that I have sold this month. And so here we have the service name, the service code, a little description, the total fee, the client name, and here is where I keep track of which rows have been invoiced and which still need to be invoiced. And if they have been invoiced, I also wanted to add the date at which they were invoiced. So for my invoicing, I am currently using Xero, but you can use any other platform that you want and connect it to Make. But so I'm just going to show you how I have been able to automate all of this. So in my Make scenario, my Google Sheet usually updates once a month. So once a month is when I get all of the new information about all my services that I sold this month. And so for our Make scenario, that's what we're going to want to do as well. So once a month, I want to go into my Google Sheets and search for those new rows. So here, I'm going to search rows. Spreadsheet, so my spreadsheet is called Invoice Tracker. That's the sheet name. And I want to find those new rows, so those rows where my column invoice done is equal to false. Okay, save. And again, because I want to do this once a month, I'm going to set this to run days of the month, and just the first of each month I think is the best option for me, but you can personalize this. Maybe you want to send it at the end of the month, so it's really up to you. And I want to do this at 10:30 a.m. That way it's done early enough that I can maybe be able to send these out by the end of the day. So I can save this. I don't want to activate the scenario just yet, but yeah, let's save. And then once I have all of my rows, I want to add them to my Xero account so I can create an invoice. So here you can just connect to your Xero account. You select your organization, and you can select if you want to do a bill or a sales invoice. For me, I'll just go with sales invoice. And then this is where you would here add item. And for this item, just map out everything that you need. So this would be the description of the item that you sold or the service, the quantity, how much it cost, the tax amount, etc., etc. But if I was to fill this in, what would happen is, because you see here how we have added one item, and then if we scroll down, we can add another item. What would happen here is that I would be creating one invoice per row. So going back here, that means I would have one invoice for client A here because he purchased service A, which would be okay. But for example, client B, he purchased 3 different services this month. And here Make would be making 3 different invoices for this client. This is not the best approach. But ideally what I want is to be able to create just the one invoice for that same client, but with 3 different lines for each service that he purchased. So that's what we're going to do here. So before we fill in our Xero module, we want to add something before. Well, actually, let me just save this here and map some random stuff. Save. And now here I want to add something called an aggregator. Array Aggregator. Okay. So what this aggregator is going to let us do is that it's going to help us go through all of our new rows, look at the client name, find the client names that are the same, and group those rows by client name. And so this way we will have all of the different services all together for each client, and then we can directly input that into Xero. And the reason why I put some random information into Xero and saved it is because here in target structure type, I want to be able to see this. Xero create an invoice. So for that, you first have to add the Xero module and save it, so that then when you add your aggregator, you have this option right here to create line items. And this way, we are already creating the structure that we need to insert into our Xero module. So scrolling all the way down, I want to go to advanced settings. And here you have this group by option, which we're going to use to group by our client name. So that's what we're going to do, and group by client name right here. And now that we've done that, we can map everything else. So here in description, I want to see the description of my service. Quantity, because I'm only selling services, I'm just going to go ahead and put 1. But you can put whatever you want. You can decide that it's always going to be the same. Or again, you can map this out from your own Google Sheets. Unit amount. So this is your total. So for me, that's called total fee. For my item here, I'm going to map this out to my service code. Okay. For account code, for me, also, this is 200. So by putting 200 here, this will map to the code 200 in my Xero account, which corresponds to sales. And so once it identifies this row as a sale, it'll just then also fill in my tax code and tax amount automatically for sales. Then what else can we map out here? Discount rate, let's just go ahead with 0. And I'd say this is about it. And just one last thing that we want to do is here in tracking, we want to add one item that we want to track. And let's map this to row number. Now this is important because at the end of our flow, I want to add a new module where we're going to go back to our Google Sheets and update the row so that it goes from invoice done false to invoice done true. And for that, we're going to need this information. So let's save this. And now that it is saved, if we go back here to our Xero, instead of adding individual items, we can just go here, map, and map the complete array automatically. There we go. And we can even go here into show advanced settings, and you can personalize this even more. So for date, I can add now. What else? Status. So status is where you're going to save your invoices. So for me, I want to get them in draft because although I do trust everything that Make is going to do, I still want to review all of my invoices before I send them out. So I'm just going to let them be in draft, and then I can go in and check them before I send these to my clients. And currency code, I'm going to go ahead and say euro because all of my things are in euros. But again, you can map this out. And I think for me, that's it. However, we still need our contact ID. And right now, we don't have that information. We do have our client name, but we don't have our client ID. So for that, we'll add one last module. Oh, my bad. I forgot to save. Okay. Oh, I need to map this out to something. Let's just go with key. This wouldn't work, but just to be able to save. All right, and here, add a new module for Xero again. And if we scroll down, we want to go to contacts and we want to search for contacts. We want to search for our client name so we can retrieve our client ID and input it into our invoice module. So here there's a few different ways that you can search for your clients. The one that interests us here is the search term, because that's what we have. And so we're going to search by key. Now, this key is basically coming from the Array Aggregator, and this key here corresponds to what you're grouping by. And what we did is that we grouped it by our client name. So here, this key just corresponds to that, to our client name. So we're searching the client name, and you just have to scroll down here because you have to select here that you want to use predefined filters. If you use user-defined, here you can actually have a more advanced type of filtering, but for us, we just want to use the ones that are already predefined up here, and we can save this. Let's save the whole flow, and if we go back here, now in key, we are able to see this search for contacts module, and here would be the contact ID that we would be retrieving. And there we go. So now that we have all of our information, everything is looking good. Let's save it and let's test this out. So let's run our flow. As we can see, this is looking very good because we have about 6 different rows here, but we are only creating 3 invoices, which means we are only creating 1 invoice per client, which is what we wanted. Now let's go into our Xero account here in drafts. Let's refresh and make sure that still, even though we have only 3 invoices, we still have all of our items for our client. So group B was the client that had purchased multiple services. Let's check that they're all here. And yes, they are. We have service 1, service 2, service 3, our description, our pricing. Here, like I said, in account, I just had to put the code 200 and it associated it with sales so that tax rate and tax amount were automatically filled. This you can set up on your Xero account. And everything is looking good. Perfect. So now that our invoice is done, we just have to go back to our Google Sheet and update the status so that, when the flow runs again next month, I don't repeat the same invoice. So coming back here, whereas before what we did was that we aggregated everything by client, we now need to separate this again. So we have our individual rows and we can go back to those individual rows and mark them one by one as invoice being done. So now what we're going to use is here in our flow control, we want an iterator. What an iterator does is that it goes row by row. It iterates through each row. And here we want to iterate through our rows in our array. And save. And once we have done that, we want to go back to our Google Sheets and we want to update a row. We want to go back to our invoice tracker right here, the same sheet name and the row number. Remember when we added that tracking in our aggregator? So that is right here. Okay. And what value do we want to change? The invoice done. So invoice done now will become true for that row. And the date invoiced would be, let's just go with timestamp again. Okay, let's save this and let's run it once again. So now we created the 3 different invoices and we have updated 5 different rows. Let's go back to our Google Sheets. And as you can see here, all of these are now selected as done. And, okay, so maybe time now isn't the best. Okay, my bad. So let's try that again. Instead of time now, I think I should put a timestamp. I think I should put now. Yeah, I think this will be better. Let's run that again. All right. Oh, I think I forgot to change this one. But anyways, everything else worked, and now we actually do have the proper format for our date invoiced. Awesome. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Using make.com, we were able to automate all of your invoice generation. So now all you have to do is double check that information and send these out to your clients. Today, we use Xero as an example. But if you guys are using any other platforms and have any tips or even questions, comment down below. Also, if you have any automation needs, please feel free to contact us at asandir.com. If you like this video, like and follow for more, and I will see you guys in our next video.